If you're shopping for an affordable electric hatchback in 2026, two names will come up again and again: the BYD Dolphin and the BYD Seagull. Same company, very different missions. The Dolphin is a larger B-segment hatch engineered to handle family duty and longer commutes, while the Seagull is the city-sized A-segment specialist focused on price, maneuverability, and low running costs. And just to keep the naming straight across regions, in Europe, the Seagull sells as the Dolphin Surf, and in many Latin American markets, it's the Dolphin Mini. I'll keep those aliases in mind as we compare specs, real-world usability, charging, safety, and ownership to help you pick the right one. Let's begin with size and proportions because that sets expectations immediately. The Dolphin is the bigger car. In its global form, it stretches to roughly 4,290 millimeters long, 1,770 wide, and 1,570 tall, riding on a 2,700 millimeter wheelbase. That makes it a proper super mini or small family hatch in Europe, with real adult space in the back and a boot that starts at about 345 liters and expands to around 1,310 liters with the seats folded. The Seagull, by contrast, is the true city car. In China, it measures about 3,780 millimeters long on a 2,500 millimeter wheelbase. The European Dolphin Surf version grows to around 3,990 millimeters, but remains a class below the Dolphin. Even so, it's packaged cleverly, with 300 liters of boot space in many markets and up to 900 to 930 liters with the seats down, depending on the spec. If you live in tight streets, the Seagull's tiny turning circle and shorter bumper-to-bumper length are immediately appealing. If you need to fit kids, luggage, or do weekly shopping for a family, the Dolphin's extra 300 millimeters and bigger cargo bay make life easier. Under the skin, both cars use BYD's E-Platform 3.0 and the company's in-house LFP blade battery technology, which prioritizes durability and thermal stability. Where they differ is in capacity and output. In Europe, the Dolphin is offered with a 60.4 kilowatt-hour pack and a front motor rated at 250 kilowatts, delivering a claimed 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in about 7 seconds. Some markets also offer a 44.9 kilowatt-hour option with lower power. The Seagull's Chinese market pack sizes are smaller, 30 or 38.88 kilowatt-hour with a 55 kilowatt motor, perfectly adequate for urban work but much more modest on the highway. Europe's Dolphin Surf variant of Seagull adds a third configuration with a 43.2 kilowatt-hour battery and in top trim, a stronger 115 kilowatt motor, which noticeably improves drivability beyond city speeds. Think of Dolphin as the more all-rounder spec sheet and Seagull as the thrifty city specialist with just enough muscle for ring roads and short motorway hops in its stronger trims. Range claims track with those batteries. In Europe, the Dolphin's WLTP combined figure spans roughly 310 to 427 kilometers, depending on battery and trim, and the 60.4 kilowatt-hour version is widely quoted at 265 miles, or about 427 kilometers. The Seagull's Chinese market ratings use the more optimistic CLTC cycle, about 305 kilometers for the 30 kilowatt-hour pack and 405 kilometers for the 38.9. So adjust expectations if you're translating to WLTP. The European Dolphin Surf quotes around 220 kilometers WLTP for the 30 kilowatt-hour base car and roughly 310 to 322 WLTP for the 43.2 kilowatt-hour versions. On paper, both can handle a week of city errands without nightly charging. The Dolphin stretches comfortably to mixed-use commutes and weekend trips that the short-range Seagull trims might find stressful without a fast charge stop. Charging hardware is another meaningful separator. European market Dolphins support 3-phase 11 kilowatt AC charging and DC fast charging up to around 88 to 100 kilowatts, depending on trim, making a 30 to 80% top-up a half-hour coffee stop in real conditions. The Chinese market Seagull is more basic, 6.6 kilowatt AC and roughly 30 to 40 kilowatts DC, but the European Dolphin Surf upgrade is substantial, 11 kilowatt AC across the range, and DC up to about 65 kilowatts on the 30 kilowatt-hour car, and up to about 80 to 85 kilowatts on the 43.2 kilowatt-hour trims, with 10 to 80% in roughly 30 minutes. In short, the Dolphin still wins on universal long-trip convenience and charge rate headroom. The Seagull Dolphin Surf narrows that gap significantly in Europe versus its Chinese spec. Performance mirrors the hardware. The 150 kilowatt Dolphin is brisk, 7 seconds to 100 is hot hatch territory for this class, and it holds motorway speeds without feeling strained. The Seagull's 55 kilowatt single motor layout targets efficiency over acceleration. Think roughly low teens 0 to 100 kilometer times in typical specs, quick enough for urban merges but not designed for repeated high-speed overtakes. The European Dolphin Surf again fills the middle ground. Base versions are leisurely, while the 115 kilowatt top trim delivers enough punch to keep up with traffic beyond the city limits. If your daily includes open highways or hills with loads on board, the Dolphin's extra torque and top-end power feel calmer and quieter. If your world is school runs and short hops, the Seagull's tuning makes sense. Inside, the character is surprisingly similar because both are part of BYD's Ocean series design language, but the Dolphin feels a segment up in breadth of features and space. The Dolphin typically gets the larger rotating infotainment display, BYD highlights at 12.8-inch in Europe, along with an adult-friendly rear bench and that flat floor that makes the middle seat usable. Material quality is more playful than premium, but solid for the price point, with vegan leather seat options and a useful spread of storage cubbies and charging points. The Seagull's cabin is deliberately simpler, often with a 10.1-inch rotating screen and more basic trim packs, though the European Dolphin Surf brings stronger ADAS and cabin tech than the Chinese baseline. If you regularly carry 3 in the back, the Dolphin's extra shoulder room and wider door apertures are a daily win. If you're mostly solo or with one passenger, the Seagull's pared-back interior is easy to live with and easier to park. Safety is a strong point for the Dolphin, which earned a 5-star Euro NCAP rating with high scores for adult and child occupant protection and robust active safety performance. As of mid-2025, the European Dolphin Surf had not yet been rated by Euro NCAP, although BYD equips it with lane keeping, adaptive cruise, AEB, and driver monitoring hardware that positions it well for formal assessment. The Chinese market Seagull hasn't been through Euro NCAP. If a published 5-star rating is a must-have for you in 2026, the Dolphin's existing score is an easy differentiator.
Let's talk pricing and market context, because what you can buy in 2026 depends on where you live. In Europe, BYD introduced the Seagull as the Dolphin Surf in May 2025, with eye-catching launch prices under €20,000 for the base 30 kilowatt-hour car and into the mid-€20,000 for higher spec trims, at least during initial promotions. That puts it up against cars like the Dacia Spring and upcoming budget EVs from legacy brands, but with stronger charging and a bigger car feel than the true micro EVs. The larger Dolphin sits above that, historically starting around €29,990 when it launched in 2023, before shifting with local taxes and incentives. In China, the Seagull remains BYD's value champ. Its domestic pricing helped make it one of the country's top sellers in 2024. For Latin America, BYD began local assembly of the Dolphin Mini in Brazil in July 2025, with plans to ramp output through 2026, which should stabilize supply and pricing regionally. Availability can change fast as tariffs and local content rules evolve, so always check your market's current price lists before you sign. Ownership experience details matter in daily life, and the Dolphin again leans into its size advantage. The boot is big enough for 4 cabin-sized suitcases, and the rear bench split 60-40 to open up a long, flat load bay, handy for strollers or flat-pack furniture. The Seagull's cargo area is smaller, but still respectable for its footprint, and the one-piece rear bench in some markets keeps costs low while maintaining a usable square opening. Both cars support V2L functionality in many markets, so you can power small appliances from the high-voltage battery, great for camping, markets, or emergency laptop charging. but confirm regional specs because V2L availability and adapters vary. On charging routines, the Dolphin's 11 kilowatt AC capability in Europe makes home or workplace top-ups smooth if you have three-phase power. Even on single-phase, overnight replenishment is easy. The Seagull's 6.6 kilowatt AC in China is fine for apartment chargers and shared infrastructure, and the European Dolphin Surf's move to 11 kilowatt AC is a quality-of-life upgrade. For road trips, both accept meaningful DC rates in their European forms, but the Dolphin's peak is higher and its pack is bigger, so it spends a little less time tethered. In practice, if you can install home charging, either car will feel liberating. If you rely on public DC networks for longer journeys, the Dolphin is the stress-free choice. Ride and refinement land where you'd expect. Reviews consistently note that the Dolphin is quiet and composed at motorway speed. There's only so much you can do with a short wheelbase hatch, but BYD has tuned it for comfort over sport, and the instant torque makes short work of gaps in traffic. The Seagull is happiest inside the city, where its lighter mass and modest powertrain make it nippy off the line up to urban speeds. Push either car hard and you'll find economy dips as with any EV, but in normal mixed driving, the Dolphin's bigger battery offers more buffer before you need to plug back in. A word on software and features. BYD's D-Link infotainment with the rotating screen remains a party trick and a practical one. Portrait mode for maps, landscape for media. Heat pumps are standard on European Dolphins, improving winter efficiency, and ADAS coverage is comprehensive for the price class. The Seagull usually brings a simpler stack to keep costs down, but European Dolphin Surf trims recover many of those niceties, including stronger driver assistance and faster charging hardware than the Chinese spec. Check your local equipment lists because trim naming and standard kits can differ by country and sometimes within a country over the model year. So, which should you buy in 2026? If you need one EV to do everything, commute, haul family, take occasional road trips, the Dolphin is the safer bet. It's faster, roomier, and rated for longer WLTP ranges in Europe, and it already carries a 5-star Euro NCAP rating. It's also the better pick if you'll regularly load up passengers or cargo, or if you want the strongest ADAS and the most highway-relaxed drivetrain for the money. If, however, you live in dense streets, mostly travel alone or with one passenger, have tight parking, and value the lowest total cost, the Seagull makes a strong case. The European Dolphin Surf spec brings charging and performance closer to the Dolphin while staying at an aggressive price point. The Chinese Seagull remains one of the best packaged small EVs for the money. In both cases, look at your charging situation at home and work. That, more than anything, determines how much range and how many kilowatts you really need. Here's the bottom line. Choose the BYD Dolphin if you want an affordable EV that can credibly replace a petrol hatchback for family life and long commutes with robust range, quicker DC charging, and a proven Euro NCAP 5-star score. Choose the BYD Seagull, Dolphin Surf or Dolphin Mini depending on your region, if your priority is low purchase price, easy parking, and efficient urban running with enough tech and safety kit to feel modern. BYD's ecosystem means both ride on the same battery and platform know-how, but the Dolphin is your do-everything compact, and the Seagull is your city specialist that punches above its weight. If you're on the fence, test drive both back-to-back on your actual route and check which one leaves you with more charge at the end of your day. That's the most honest demonstration of which car truly fits your 2026.